Susan Komen, the Komen for the Cure organization, has been now exposed for they've been caught in a mammography propaganda fraud. Scientists published in the British medical journal, the BMJ, have now exposed the lies and deceptions of the Komen for the Cure group, which is using this fear campaign in false advertising. And the British Medical Journal has the graphic that shows the false advertising. They're using a fear campaign to recruit women into getting mammograms. Why mammograms? Because, and there it is on screen for prisonplanet.tv viewers. That's the graphic from the British Medical Journal. I actually paid the money to go get this article from the BMJ. And it turns out that Komen Group is lying to you about all of this. It turns out that the actual risk of a 40-year-old woman getting cancer in the next 10 years, getting breast cancer, is only 0.53%. And even if you believe all the best mammography numbers, if they get mammograms every year, that risk only goes down to 0.46%. So we're talking about an improvement of only 7 women out of 10,000. And that's if you believe their numbers. So mammography might only help 7 women out of 10,000. Meanwhile, it's harming 9 out of 10 women who actually get mammograms. So they're getting false diagnosis. And this was pointed out by the authors of this story. And we can actually quote from them in another segment. The authors, Woloshin and Schwartz, those are the scientists who wrote this article, say that more women are harmed by mammograms than are possibly helped by them, that the benefits are dubious, and that the Komen Group is just completely exaggerating the benefits, the so-called benefits of mammograms in order to pursue their agenda. Well, what is their agenda? Think about this. It's all pink washing. You know, instead of actually teaching women how to prevent cancer with vitamin D, with trace minerals like selenium, for example, and magnesium and things like that, they wait for women to get cancer, and then they push women into chemotherapy treatments, and they push women to get more mammograms. Meanwhile, the Komen Group is getting money from, guess who? The mammogram manufacturers. And they own stock in companies like GE that manufactures the mammograms. And they get money and they do matching grants from companies that are pharmaceutical companies that make money off of the chemical cocktails, which are chemotherapy. So it turns out that mammography is largely a hoax. It doesn't save lives. Early detection doesn't save lives. That has been expressed by these scientists in the British Medical Journal. It's really just a numbers trick. And we've exposed that in a story. Total fraud. It is time to boycott everything that is attached to a pink ribbon. So if you run for a cure, you are being conned. If you give money to any run for the cure, you've been conned. That money doesn't go to help women prevent breast cancer, not at all. The whole thing is a scam. Now, the fraud is being exposed even in the conventional medical industry. Think about it. The British Medical Journal, which is funded by drug company advertisements, even ran this article attacking the Komen deceptions and the false fraudulent propaganda in the ads. Think about it. The British Medical Journal, that is, it is an institution almost of the medical industry that is well respected. Excuse me. And they would run this and they would go after Komen. Really? That's how bad it's gotten, that even the people in the industry can't deal with it anymore. They have to tell the truth. So kudos to Woloshin and Schwartz for being willing to step out there and actually tell the truth. But there's more to the story. What happens when you get chemotherapy? This is breaking news right now. And I'm writing an article on this tonight, so you'll see this tomorrow on Natural News. Yes, I'm actually reading you tomorrow's news today. So the story is, it's a shock cancer finding. The chemotherapy causes healthy cells to grow cancer tumors. Actually, it works like this. When healthy cells are exposed to chemotherapy, they emit a protein. The protein is called WNT16B. The name doesn't matter. Don't worry about the name. It's a protein that is then taken up by the cancer cells, the cancer tumors growing nearby, causes those tumors to, quote, grow, invade, and resist subsequent therapy. And that's from Peter Nelson of the Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center in Seattle. He's the co-author of a study that documents this phenomenon, which has been published in the journal Nature Medicine. It turns out chemotherapy is a fraud. It backfires. Chemotherapy causes cancer tumors to grow. So at first, it shrinks the tumors, and then when the chemotherapy stops, that patient aggressively grows more tumors more quickly, which is why cancer always comes back. If you go get chemotherapy, it always comes back. And meanwhile, you're being killed by the chemicals. Your hair is falling out. You're vomiting. You're losing muscle mass. You're losing your appetite. You're being starved to death. You look like a concentration camp victim because you got the chemotherapy. And why did you get the chemotherapy in the first place? Because the Komen Group did a mammogram and through false advertising to convince you to get a mammogram, and then you had a false diagnosis of a breast cancer tumor, and then you said yes to the oncologist that makes money off of selling you the very chemotherapy chemicals that we now know backfire and cause cancer tumors to grow more aggressively. The whole thing is a malicious crime against women. It's not just women, men are caught up in all this with prostate cancer, but it is especially targeting women. And more importantly, for all of you out there who are listening who have, let's say, darker skin color, you're African Americans out there, you're being targeted, you're being victimized by this, because guess where Komen takes their little mobile mammography vans into low-income neighborhoods targeting low-income women who they know have more aggressive breast cancer tumors because vitamin D deficiency is epidemic across the African American community, because the dark skin color blocks the ultraviolet light from the sunlight. If you get sunlight, you generate vitamin D. So you can actually prevent cancer in your own body. Cancer tumors don't grow in the presence of high levels of vitamin D circulating in your body, not unless you're exposed to high levels of radiation or a really toxic chemical, for example. So the Komen Group goes into the black neighborhoods and irradiates the breasts of those women, knowing that it's going to produce revenues for the drug companies and revenues for the mammogram companies, and it's going to give them more power so everybody can run around running for a cure, pink washing. And then the battery companies sell their products with little pink ribbons on them, and then the cosmetic companies that have their toxic cancer-causing chemicals can sell you their little pink ribbon cosmetics. Yeah, hey, why not have a pink ribbon cigarette? A brand of like Komen smokes, pink ribbon cigarettes. Yeah, with every breath, you're helping to find a cure for the cancer that you're getting by using our product. That's what the slogan should be. I mean, that's how crazy this is. Look, you think about everything that's going on today, whether it's the cancer industry scam, whether it's the staged shootings that we're seeing with the Sikh temple in Wisconsin, with Aurora, Colorado, with the attacks, the assaults on farmers in Canada and in the United States, on raw milk, on home gardens, on your free speech rights are under attack. You're being surveilled by smart grid technology. Pretty soon, when all those are installed, they're going to be able to turn off your television if they want you to. They're going to be able to turn off your AC, kill huge numbers of people during a heat wave in Chicago one summer, for example, just by turning off your electricity with the smart grid. It's all becoming so insane that it's hard to deal with. It's just hard. It's difficult to communicate this to people who aren't on board. If you're listening to this show for the first time, you must be blown away. You must be just going, what? How could this be? This contradicts everything I've seen on CNN or even Fox News or all these other conventional news programs. How could any of this be true? How could the mammogram ads by Susan G. Komen for the cure, how could those be fraudulent? Well, they are. How could these shootings be staged? Well, they are. We're not asking you to believe something that's crazy. We're asking you to wake up and see reality.